Hi students, Logan Phillips here. Today we're going to be working on Excel Chapter 4, the Guided Project. Now in Chapter 4 we were introduced to a few new learning outcomes as a student. We really focused on creating and formatting lists as an Excel table, applying conditional formatting rules as well as color scales, icon sets, and data bars. We worked with sorting data by one or more columns and by attributes. And then we worked on filtering data by using the auto filters and the advanced filters. Then in 4.5, 4.6, 4.7, 4.8, 4.9, we use subtotals, groups, and outlines for tabular data in a worksheet. We imported our data into an Excel worksheet from a text file, from a database file, and some other sources. We exported Excel data, so we took it out of Excel into other programs, and we built and formatted a pivot table. Now, the pivot tables are really the first bit of advanced Excel work that you would do in this particular class, but are probably one of the most valuable items that you can use inside the Microsoft Excel environment. And if you learn how to use them well, they will serve you extremely well over the course of your entire life. So today we are going to be working on Excel Guided Project Chapter 4. So let's go ahead and open up our Simnet environment and see if we can't find that Excel Chapter 4. So I'm inside Excel. On the left hand side, I'm going to choose my projects, and I'm going to find Guided Project for Chapter 4. Chapter 4, Guided Project 4-3. Alright, so it looks like we have a few different instructions, start files, and a resource file here. So we're going to be importing from another document or something along that lines. And so we're going to download both the instruction file, the start file, and the resource file. So let's go ahead, and now I'm using a Windows PC, so I'm going to use the instruction file for Windows. And let's go ahead and open that up. Now let's take a look and see what we're going to be doing today. So for this Guided Project 4.3, we're going to format data as an Excel table. We're going to build an advanced filter, no more just basic ones. We're going to start modifying with a few different advanced commands here. We're going to apply some conditional formatting to our filtered results. We're going to sort the data by multiple columns instead of that single level sorting. We're going to import a comma-separated text file. So comma-separated text files are like Word documents that are designed to have lots of information in them. So we're going to import that in so that everywhere there's a comma, that separates out into a new cell. We're also going to use the subtotal command, export the data via the clipboard, and create that very, very important pivot table. Now remember that I am using a split screen system, so my instruction file will be on the screen that you're not viewing, and so I'll have the Excel spreadsheet opened where we can view, and I will be looking at the instructions myself. I do strongly encourage you to download the instructions, print them out, and keep them with you. It makes working with this type of stuff a whole lot easier. So let's go ahead and get our start file next. So I'm going to download my start file, and I'm also going to download my resource file. Now, if you notice, the resource file is actually inside of a zipped folder. So we can see here that this file is actually a zip file or a compressed file. So we can't work inside of a compressed file. We actually need to pull out the documents. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my start file, and I'm going to open up that zip file. And I'm minimize here. And what you'll see now, close that, is once you open up your zip file, you'll have inside of a compressed file tools, and you'll have a new folder. Let's just go ahead and drag that new folder to our desktop, and so we can work on it from there. Remember, you can't work inside a zipped or compressed file when you're doing these type of assignments. And we have two different types of zip files. We have an Excel spreadsheet, and we have what I'm going to guess is a comma-separated document. So we have those in the desktop, and we have our start file. Now, very first thing I always do is hit Enable Editing, and then I'm going to go to my Backstage view, File, Save As, and I'm going to put it onto my desktop. I'm going to leave the name the same and save it to my desktop. You can see that my name is up in the center. The reason I do this is just because it saves it outside of your downloads file and keeps a little bit easier management of the documents. So at this point, we've done the first few pieces of the instructions. We've done step one. We've done step one at this point. So we're on the instruction file. I'm on step 2. I'm going to copy and paste the projected sheet before the criteria sheet and name the copied sheet Advanced Filter. So to do this, we're going to click on the Paste and Projected Sheet. You can see I'm highlighted below. I'm going to right click and I'm going to choose to move or copy. And so let's go ahead and make a copy and leave it there. So we now have a project number 2, our Paste and Project 2, and we're going to double click it and we're going to rename this the criteria. Oh, I'm sorry, advanced filter. We already have a criteria. And make sure you don't put that period there. You don't need a period. And so we're going to move this before the criteria sheet. So I'm left clicking and holding, and I'm moving it to before my criteria. So I have a Paste and Projected, an advanced filter, a criteria, and an expense tab now at the bottom. On step 3, we're going to create and format an Excel table. So let's go ahead and select cells A4 through E60 on the advanced filter sheet. Now remember that we can jump directly to where we're needing to go. I'm going to shrink that a little bit. In the address bar at the top left, and I'm going to just type in A4. So I jump exactly where I'm supposed to be. So we're selecting cells A4 through E60. So I'm going to use my Shift button and my arrows, and I'm going to go all the way from A4 through E60. Now the reason I use my Shift button and arrows instead of my mouse cursor is because when you're selecting these ranges that are out of visible view, if you use your mouse cursor, it will highlight things very, very quickly and can jump over and just highlight ridiculous amounts of material. So it's just a little bit more specific way of doing that. Next, we're going to click on the advanced or quick analysis tools, and we're going to choose tables. Now you can find your quick analysis once you've highlighted everything in the bottom right hand corner. It's going to pop up. You can also use your Control and Q, and we're going to go over here into the tables grouping. And from tables, we're going to click table. So let's go ahead and click on table. So we have created a little table here with filterable menus. It's a drop down. It gave us a nice little table style. So it's organized the data. Now that quick analysis tool again is bottom right corner of the selected area. So we're on to step 4 now, and we're going to apply a table style. So let's click on cell A5 in the table. Let's go A5. And we're going to click on the More button, which is in the Table Tools Design Table Styles group. So we got Table Styles, and we have a More button. And we're going to choose Table Style Medium 15. Medium 10. Medium 9. 14. Okay, that will be in your first column, and 1, 2, 3 down. If you're using Office 2013, it will probably just stay Table Style Medium 15. If you're using Office 2016, it's going to say White Table Style Medium 15. So it gives us a nice little black and white view there for that. So we're on to step 5 now, and we're going to create an output range for an advanced filter. We're going to select our cells of A4 through E4. So let's go ahead and click on A4. And we're going to select A4 through E4. You can see it's our top header row. And we're going to copy and paste them to cell G4. So I'm going to use my Control C, and I'm going to paste this into cell G4. So let's go here, and we're going to G4, and we're going to hit our Control and V, giving us a nice pasted information for this column. Next, we're going to go into cell G3, and we're going to type extract range. In cell G3, and we're going to set the font to Cambria and 16 point. So our home tab, right now we're at Calibri and 11 points, so let's change it to 16 point, and we're going to change this to Cambria. It should be an automatic alphabetical order. There we go. So we got Cambria and 16 point. So we have the extract range, month, image, patients, total hours, numbers, employees, and the Cambria 16 points. And we're going to adjust the widths to show the labels. Now I'm going to do this very quickly. I'm going to highlight all of them starting from G to K. Now I did click on the gray area, and I'm going to come up to my cells, my format, and I'm going to do auto fit column width. let's see, auto fit column width. Now you can see that highlighted or showed most of them. I am going to pull this one number of employees out just a little bit more, and I'm going to extend the total hours out just to make it a little bit clearer. Okay, our next step is we're going to be starting to work on creating an advanced filter. So we're going to go ahead and click on the criteria sheet below. So we are moving from the advanced filter sheet to the criteria sheet. And the criteria is what we are filtering, what data or what information we're actually looking for. So let's go ahead and click on cell A3. And we're going to type in the greater than symbol, 12, 31, 16. And we're going to go over to cell B3 and we're going to type in MRI. And we're going to go into cell A4 and we're going to do greater than 12, 31, 14. And we're going to type CT scan in cell B4. So we're setting our criteria or requirements of the data that we're actually wanting to pull in. We want here greater than 12/31/2016, and we want to find records after 12/31/2014. And this is an image or an MRI scan, and this is a CT scan. Now let's go ahead and click on cell A5 in the advanced filter sheet. A5. Now again, you could have jumped straight to it by coming up to the address bar, typing in A5, or you could have just left-clicked your mouse point. We're going to click on the Advanced button, which is in the Data tab and the Filter group. So let's go up here to our Data tab. And you can see here we have a Sort and Filter group, and on the right-hand side we have an Advanced button. So this is going to give us our options for filtering using our more unique or more complex criteria. So instead of just sorting things based on ranges or names or whatnot, we're going to sort it on more advanced. So let's click on that Advanced button. And we're going to select the Copy to Another Location radio button. So we're going to not just post it here, we're going to post it to a new location. And we're going to list the range is cells A4. So we have A4 through E60. And if it's incorrect, make sure you reselect the information or type it in. And we're going to click the criteria range box and select cells A2 through B4 on the criteria sheet. So I've put my mouse cursor in the criteria range. I'm coming down here, I'm clicking on the criteria sheet, and I'm going to select cells A2 through B4. So A2 through B4. You can see it has listed as this is in the criteria, and these are set cells of A2 through B4. Next, we're going to click Copy to Box, and we're going to select cells G4 through K4 on the Advanced Filter sheet. So we're going to put our cursor inside the Copy to, and we're going to put our answers to these questions on the G4 through K4. That's K4. Okay, and we're going to hit OK. You can see here now we have an advanced filter. We looked at information specifically for above those certain dates with MRI and CT scans only, and it's filled in all of our information that we've asked of this data. So this is a more robust way to ask questions. So now that we have this here, let's start sorting data in the output range. We're going to right click on cell H5. So let's go here to cell H5. We're going to right click, and on cell H5 we're going to do a sort, and we're going to sort from A to Z. So let's go up here to our data tab, or we could have actually come down here on the right click, sort, and sort A to Z. So now you can see they're in alphabetical order of CT scans and MRI scans. So we had X number of CT scans in the state range, and we had 2 MRI scans in the state range. Next we're going to right click on cell G5. So let's go here, G5, and we're going to sort this one by oldest to newest. Now our information is organized in a date range of what the oldest scan was to the newest scan that we found, and they're both still CT or MRI ranges. So we're on to steps 8 at this point in time, and we're going to start looking at applying conditional formats. and borders to our group here. So on our Home tab, we have some conditional formatting commands, and it's a conditional formatting button, which is in the Styles group. So this makes our data look a very specific way. So we're going to select the cells of I5 through I14. I5 through I14. There we go. And we're going to click on the conditional formatting button, which is our Home tab in the Styles group. And we're going to add in a highlight cells rule. And we want to highlight anything that's greater than 750. So we're looking at here in these numbers, and maybe my boss or someone has asked me for a very specific number. So I've answered them in a nice range, but I really want the information to pop out at them. And now I'm going to do one quick thing here before I move on, because I'm having a hard time seeing some of my information. I'm going to highlight G through K again. I'm going to go to my Format tab, and I'm going to auto-fit the column width. So just extending out that column H. So we're looking here at this column I now. We're going to highlight the I5 through I14. We're going to click on this conditional formatting, and we're going to choose to highlight cell rules. So let's go highlight cell rules, and we want the greater than, and we want greater than 750 highlighted. And then we're going to fill it with a green fill with dark green text. Now you can see here that these numbers have now been highlighted and organized, and they show if it's higher than that number, it's pointed out very specifically in green. This is a great way to look for data or look for information inside bigger spreadsheets. Like say you're doing an inventory and you need to know if your inventory is less than 15 of a certain item. You can go through it and have it highlight and bold and red and all kinds of things, those items, so you can pick them out from the data a little bit easier. Because the human eye has a pretty difficult time actually seeing numbers when they're all together. So next we're going to select cells G5 through K14. Let's go through K14. And we're going to apply in all borders. So this can be accomplished on the Home tab, and it's in the font grouping. And you can see here there's a little border box, and we're going to go down here and we're going to choose all borders. So not only have we highlighted the green pieces we want, we've searched this big data table for only a very specific range, and in that range we've highlighted the ones we're really looking for. So we filtered it down to exactly the information that we're wanting to get to. So let's go ahead and hit Control and Home, and bringing us back to cell A1. And we're going to do step 9 next. Now, step 9, we're going to be working with those downloaded resources, that zip file that we uncompressed and put onto our desktop. So in step 9, we're going to import a comma-separated values text file. So we're going to click on the expense info sheet. So let's go here down and to the expense info. And you can see here we have a nice little sheet, but we don't have any data. We need last names, first names, dates, and amounts. So we're going to import all the information from something that someone else has given us. So we're going to click on cell A5. We're going to put our cursor to where the start of our data is supposed to be. If I'm here in A1 and I import my data, it's going to override some information. It's going to cause issues. So I want the import to actually start happening on cell A5. And we're going to click the Import from Text button, which is Data tab, Get External Data. So we got the data, and we got the Get External Data, and we're going to choose From Text. Now, it's going to take a second to find it, but here on your desktop, you should have Guided Project EX 2016 4-3 Resources. And the one we're looking for is the Clemson Imaging-04 CSV. And you can see we're going to do a little bit of a view. You can see everything separated by commas. So last name, comma, first name, comma, date of something, comma, number of something. So it's a text file, but everything's done by commas instead of cells or tabs or spacings. So let's go ahead and click on that file, the Clemson Imaging-04, and choose to import it. Now we're on to step 9F here, and we're going to select the delimited button from the first window, and then we're going to click Next. So we are going to show or tell it that, yeah, there are commas separating our data. That last name is separated by first name by a comma, but there could also be things like fixed width if you're using tab stops, depending on what the data looks like that you're importing. But we're going to do a delimited data. We're going to hit next. And it was separated by commas. So let's go ahead and deselect the tab and select the commas. And you can see here it's going to give you a little bit of an idea what it's going to look like down below. So we have separated by commas, last name, first name, date, and amount. Let's go ahead and hit next. And we're going to hit date on the button. And let's go ahead and finish. And we're going to append this data to okay, let's go ahead and hit OK. And you can see here now that we have last name, first name, date, and amount all organized and imported from outside the Excel spreadsheet. And next we're going to select cells, columns A through D. So let's click on the gray. We're going to select cell A, and we're going to go through D. And we're going to change the width of these columns. And we're going to set the column to 12.11 width. So let's right click after we've selected them, go down to column width, and let's put in 12.11. So we have it nice pulled out, expanded out a little bit. We can see everything clearly. So we have now selected or completed through step 9M, and we are now on to step 10. So with step 10, we're going to use the subtotal command. We're going to select on cell A5, and we're going to click the sort from A to Z. So let's go ahead and right click. Let's go down to sort and sort A to Z. So we've put our data in from alphabetical order, Allen, Bouchier, all the way down to McAllister's. Next, we're going to do the subtotal button, which is on the Data tab. We're still selected in cell A5, and we are going to choose in the outline group. And let's see what kind of subtotal they wanted us to do. Okay, so let's go ahead and outline group and click on the subtotal button. And from here, we are going to make sure to verify that the last name is selected for at each change in. So last name at each change in. We're going to click the use function arrow and choose average. So we have last name at each change in. We have the average going in. And we're going to click the amount box in the add subtotal. So last name, average, amount. And let's go ahead and click OK. So you can see here on my spreadsheet, we now have last names. They're separated out. We can see Allen had an average of $691. We have Bouchier here has X dollars. And so it has all their information locked down into a little column that's expandable. So let's go into column D, and we're going to set column D as a currency. So go Home tab with column D selected, and we're going to go from General, and we're going to choose Currency. And we're going to change that decimal place, and let's go ahead and get rid of both of those. So I'm going to choose the drop decimal 2 places. You could have come up here and expanded it out, chosen Currency, decimal place 0, and hit OK. The dialog box launcher would work just fine there. I chose to choose currency, and then hit my remove decimal place to get the same output. Next, we're going to do step 11. We're going to collapse these outline groups. So let's go ahead and hit the negative button on the left-hand side and collapse these down a little bit. All right. Oh, I'm sorry, we're only supposed to collapse the Allen and McAllister. So let's open back up Bashir, Gabry, Gomez, and leave McAllister closed down and leave Allen closed down. So on step 12, we are going to start looking at creating pivot tables. Now, pivot tables are great little pieces of information. They are one of Excel's most powerful features. A pivot table allows you to extract significance from a large, detailed data set. Now, our data sets typically consist of anywhere from a few lines to several thousand lines and have a variety of different headers. But this is all about pulling out information that you can actually use and answer questions with. So we are on to step 12 now, and we're going to click on the Paste and Projected Sheet tab. So let's go here to Paste and Projected Sheet tab. We're going to click on cells A4 through E60. So A4, and I'm going to use my shift and arrows here. E60. And we're going to click on the Quick Analysis tool, which again is in the bottom right corner of your highlighted area. And we're going to choose the Tables button. And you can see here we have a traditional table and we have a variety of pivot tables that we can use. And this is called your live preview. Now we're going to choose the option that shows us sum of the employees, the total hours, and the patients. So let's go here and find the sum of the employees, total hours, and the patients. So sum of employees, total hours, and sum of patients. It looks like to me that that is going to be the third one in. Now once you click on this, it's going to create a brand new sheet with that pivot table already created for you. And so let's go ahead and rename this sheet, and we're going to rename it to Pivot Table Sheet, or just Pivot Table. Remember, don't put the period in. So we're on to step 12 in G. We're going to drag the month field in the row area of the pivot table. So let's go here, and I'm clicking anywhere in the pivot table to bring back up my Pivot Table Fields dialog box on the right-hand side. And we're going to drag the month field in the row area. We're going to drag the month field in the rows area in the Pivot Table Fields pane out of the pane and onto the worksheet. So let's go here to the right side, and we're going to click on the drag. We're going to drag that month field. So down the bottom we have these 4 boxes. We're going to click on the month, left click and hold, and drag it out. You can see all that did was actually remove it from the pivot table. Now it changed our pivot table over here as well. Now on to step 13, we are going to select cell C4, and we're going to click on the field. Select cell C4, and we're going to click the Field Settings button, which is in the Pivot Table Tools, Analyze tab, and the Active Field Grouping. So let's find Active Field Grouping. Here we go. And we are looking for that Settings button, Field Settings. So we're going to modify the settings for this one given little bitty area. And we're going to click on the number format. So let's click on number format. And then we're going to use 1000 and a separator box. We're going to choose number. We're going to choose 1000 and the separator box. There we go. And set 0 decimal places. So let's get rid of 2 of those decimals. And we're going to hit OK. And OK again. Okay, let's do that one more time, and we're going to do this to the sum of patients field. So let's click on the cell D4, and we're coming up here to the Analyze. We're going to go to Field Settings and the Active Field Grouping. We're going to choose on the Number Format button. We're going to go down here to Number and use 1000 separators and drop off 2 of those decimal places. And OK, and OK. So you can see all it did was put in our little decimal, or got rid of our decimals and put in a comma separator. On step 13H, we're now going to click on the More button, which is on the Pivot Tables Tool Design tab, Pivot Table Styles group. So let's go here and fit the More button. which is inside Pivot Table Styles group. And where is your more button? Okay. And so we can see here we have a live preview happening on the left-hand side, and there are countless styles of pivot tables and designs that you can use. So we're going to select the pivot style Dark 9. So let's go down here to Dark and find Dark 9, Dark 8, Dark Gray, Pivot Style Dark 9. So on Windows 2016, or Office 16, second row, second column is the one we're looking for. Now, if you're on 2013, it's probably not going to say that gray or blue. It will just say Dark 9, Pivot Style Dark 9. Now we're going to click on the banded rows in the Pivot Style Options grouping, which is on the Design tab. And we're going to hit banded rows. You can see that put in a nice little line across. Without it, that line doesn't exist. And we are now on to, we also have to choose the banded columns. So we want banded rows and banded columns. Now, banded columns, banded rows, all that means is just putting in lines sort of like borders to make it look a little bit better. Banding is for pivot tables, column or lines, borders are for just regular cells or tables. So let's go ahead into step 14, and we're going to create and format a pivot chart. Now, the reason these things are very important, the pivot tables, the pivot charts, is because they live update to the data. So this pivot table is actually created off of my paste and projected. If I was to change something here in my paste and projected, my pivot table would automatically update. And any charts I create off of my pivot table will also automatically update and giving me a live ability. So if a boss comes in here and says, hey, you made a mistake, this September 2016 was actually August 2016, I could change it here. It would update my pivot table, it would update my pivot charts, it would update all of my information built off of it. So it connects everything together. So we're going to click on the Pivot Chart button, which is in the Pivot Table Tools Analyze group. So let's go Pivot Table Tools Analyze group, and we're going to find that Pivot Table Chart button. And you can see here that's in the Tools grouping and Pivot Chart. And we are going to choose to select the bar chart. And we're going to do a stacked bar subtitle. Or a sub chart of a stacked bar. So bar chart, second one in, stacked bar. You can see here it'll give you a live preview with your actual data. Sum of employees, total hours, sum of patients. And we're going to hit OK. So now we have a nice little live updating chart that's connected to our pivot table, which is connected to our data. So if anything changes in any location, it updates it everywhere. So we're on to step 14D now. We're going to position this chart object so the top left corner is at cell A12. So I'm going to come over here into my chart, and I'm going to find where my arrows become the four-way moving arrows, and I'm going to drag it over to my cell A12. And I'm going to put my top left corner as best I can into cell A12, right there. Then we're going to drag the bottom right selection handle until it's down to J30. So my white dot's across it. I'm going to come to my bottom right white dart on this chart, and I'm going to drag it to where it's at J30. So 30 and J. So we've resized and moved our pivot chart around just a little bit. Next, we're going to click on the More button, which is in our pivot chart. Man, sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied here. In the Pivot Chart Tools Design tab, so back into our Design tab, the Chart Styles group. So we have a Chart Styles group, and we're going to choose Style 8. So let's hit on the More button and find that style number 8. That's 10, should be 9, and then we have style number 8. So a little bit of 3D effect, a little bit bold in your face, rounded edges. So it looks really nice here. We're going to click on the Change Color button next because this is still not quite the same color as everything else we've done here. So let's go ahead in the Pivot Chart Tools Design tab in the Chart Styles grouping on the left hand. We're going to choose to change its colors. And we're going to choose the Color 1 in the monochromatic group. So right here, the blues. Color 1, Palette 1. So we made the blues match up with our blues and blacks. So you can see that we are blues and blacks pretty much everywhere across. Now, if you're Excel 2013, when you choose this color, you're going to choose color 5. If you're in 16, you're choosing the monochromatic palette 1. All right, we are now on to step I. We're going to deselect the number of employees box in the pivot charts field type, and we're going to click on cell A1. So let's go up here to cell A1. All right, we are next on to step 16. We're going to export, so we're going to pull information out of this our workbook here into someplace else. We're going to export our data using our clipboard. So we're going to click on the Advanced Filter sheet. We're going to select our cells G4 through K14, so G4 through K14. Again, I'm using my shift and my arrows just to make it a little bit easier on myself. And we're going to hit the copy button, which is on our home tab, and the copy button. We're going to open up the Clemson Imaging 04 Word document. So let's go ahead to our resources here. We're going to open up that Clemson Imaging 04 document. Now we're going to have to hit the Enable Editing button. We're going to hit Control and N to go to the very last section of the document, or the last line. And we're going to put our cursor entry there, right below our next steps. You can see it here. And we're going to hit the Paste button on the Home tab Clipboard group. And we're going to choose Paste Special. So instead of hitting just the clipboard, let's hit the radio button below, and we're going to go into Paste Special. And we're going to choose the Select Microsoft Excel Workbook Object, Microsoft Excel Worksheet Object. And we're going to select the Paste Radio button link. So, right here. So we're pasting it as a link. It's a Microsoft Excel Worksheet Object. And we're going to click on the Center button on Home tab. Now we're going to hit OK. Next, we're going to go ahead and center this on the Home tab in the paragraph grouping. And we're going to save the Word document as your initials. So File, Save As. I'm going to choose my desktop. And it's going to be named your initials, Excel 4-3. 4-3. And hit Save. Now, the interesting thing here is why we've exported it into this very specific way of doing a link. Yeah, you'll notice that if something happens on your worksheet, come over here, one of these numbers happens to change, this document will actually update as well. So your Word document is live connected into your Excel spreadsheet. So no matter if you change anything in your data, then your exact range criteria will change, and then your Word document will change. This is very helpful in last meeting minutes, meetings and stuff. If someone comes in and goes, hey, I made a mistake, we actually have 500 instead of 300 of this inventory. Instead of recreating all of your stuff from scratch, you put it here, and your graphs and your pictures and your data, all of it will update automatically across to all of your documents. That's why we do it as a link. So let's go ahead and save and close the Excel worksheet. I'm going to go ahead and I've saved that already. I'm going to hit File, and I'm going to do Save, because I've already put it on my desktop. I'm going to close this down, and let's go ahead and open it up and upload it into Simnet. So I'm going to upload my file. Let's go ahead and find that file. And it's Excel spreadsheet. Clemson Imaging. There we go. Click on Open. And yes, Submit. So hopefully I've done everything correctly and we get a good 100% score. If I made a mistake, we'll look at it, tell you what we did wrong. But hey, I made 100%, so that must mean I know what I'm doing as a professor, and that makes me happy. All right, guys, if you follow along, we've done a little bit of things. We've done pivot tables. We've exported data. We've talked about why that's important for the live updating. We worked with a quick access. We've changed around the data, collected a very specific sorting by multiple columns and multiple formattings. We've applied some conditional formattings to our documents, and we've imported and exported data. All right, that's Excel Guided.